I call this teaching, Parenting Must Be Structured. Parenting must be structured. Parenting must be structured. Parenting must be structured. Now, so what do we mean by parenting must be structured? I've mentioned a little bit that to a large extent, a lot of people, a lot of parents don't do planning when it comes to giving birth to when it comes to rearing their children or bringing up their children. They don't plan things ahead. But if you don't plan the brought up or the parenting for your children, you will reap a chaotic life, chaotic behavior, and unpredictable character from them. So if you really want your children to be this exact way that you are planning for them to be, if you want your children to become the personalities and the individuals that you envision them to be in your mind, then you've got to structure your work with them, your process of upbringing, your process of parenting, your child rearing has to be systematic. It has to be structured. It has to be planned. So, but there's no way for you to plan parenting without, first of all, finding out the goals and the purpose of parenting. We spoke about the 5 major goals or purpose of parenting. 5 major purposes, goals of or purpose of parenting. 5 major goals of parenting. And now I'm talking about how to structure that. So now that you have a goal, so you cannot structure something that you don't have a goal for. You can only structure something according to the goal that you have. You can only structure something according to the purpose that you have. So we start out by saying that you must have a goal and a purpose for your parenting. You are not just becoming a parent by default. You are not just becoming a parent just because you found yourself pregnant, or you found yourself married, or you found yourself that you have the desire to have children, and that's why you are having the children. Yeah, that is not the way it's supposed to work. You are supposed to plan when you have the children. You are supposed to purpose and plan when the children will come, what you want to see in them, what are the goals, the mission, the purpose that you want, the system, the values that you want to put in the life of these children, and who do you want them to grow up to be. So once you have that goal and purpose, then in your marriage and your family, you have to put together a structure that will help you to achieve that goal. Now, in our family, what I've discovered is that the way we did it, let me just share with you our experience. The way we did it is that when our children were between the age of 0, let's say any child, when a child is between the age of 0 and 3, there are different needs that that child has. But when a child is between the age of 0 and 7, there's another thing that you should expect from that child. So we must all find out what is it that we want to, we should know how to treat a child at different stages of their lives. Okay, now let's talk about a child between the age of 0 to 15 months. Between the age of 0 to 15 months, that is like the first 1 year of your child, of your baby. How do you rear that child? How do you bring up that baby? How do you develop that child? How do you bring what is it? What do you really do with a child that is just a month old or 2 months old or a few weeks old? What is their need? Well, the psychologists call that particular period of time between the age of 0 or 1 day to 15 months is in psychology is called it is a stage in development that is called the stage of awakened imperial. Like it's like an awakened king, like awakened warrior, awakened king. It's the time when a whole life is just coming. They are just recovering to full life. It's like a life that has been in the stomach that has been sleeping. It is the personality, all the qualities of the child, who that child will become in life, all the potentials that have been put inside that baby from heaven. All those potentials are being awakened at this point. So that is why it's called an awakened emperor. I think it's emperor you call it, right? Emperor, yes. So it's a stage of the awakened emperor. It's a time when you want to let your children, your baby, fully come to the fullness of life. You want that all the potentials, all the life, all the segment of life in that baby. You want the baby to experience full life. You want the fullness of joy. So you want to what you want to do at that stage in the development of the baby is to surround that baby with as much love as possible. So the most important condition, the requirement for the parenting a child that is from the age of 0 to 15 months is to create an ambience, to create an ambience for him, to create an atmosphere, to create an environment for that child. You need to create the environment. So what is the environment that we are supposed to create? What is the goal we're after? What is the environment we must create for a child that is between the age of 0 and 15 months? The environment and the ambience you want to create is the environment, the ambience of love. So you want to fill that atmosphere, that environment with so much love. And that comes from the people who have an interaction, any form of interaction with that baby. And not just those who have direct interaction with the baby, those who can touch the baby, those who can carry the baby, but also those who live in the same surrounding, in the same environment as that child. So you want to create an ambience, you want to create an environment whereby the love could be read in the atmosphere. The language of love is filling the whole environment, the whole atmosphere, the whole air. You could breathe air, or you could breathe love in the air. Now, if instead of love, the atmosphere of love, if it is the atmosphere of pressure that is in that house, if it is conflict, strife, pressure, that pressure and that strife is being communicated one way or the other to that child on the level of subconsciousness. So the subconscious nature of the baby is taking everything. Even though a child is still very young and it cannot even remember it when he grows up, but all those things that are happening in the atmosphere, in the environment, they are being recorded in his subconscious already. So that is why sometimes, especially in this part of the world where I am, and in Africa as well, a lot of women say that they don't want to leave their husbands and they don't want to divorce or separate from their husband because they don't want their child to grow up without a husband, or they don't want their child to grow up without a father. But that is a mistake. That is a mistake because if the ambience and the environment in that house, in that particular room or in that atmosphere where the baby is that of conflict, that of strife, that of confrontation, that of anger, hatred, and sorrow and pressure, that is being communicated to the baby. Even from the time the baby is in the stomach, that is being communicated to him or her. especially when the baby is already alive and there is strife in the atmosphere. The baby is sinking everything into the level of subconscious. And that is why when women say things like, oh no, well, we are fighting or we have bad relationship, but I want to let the father be there, or I will not separate from my husband or from the man that is beating me or abusing me, because I want my children to have a father, or to have two parents. That is actually counterproductive. That is counterproductive, because if it might be better to just separate and to let the man go, so that the atmosphere in the home will be that of peace, will be that of love, and all the positive things that we said. So it's better to have the environment and the ambience of love, acceptance, and all other positive values that a child needs, than to keep a baby in an atmosphere of strife, in an atmosphere of conflict, and in an atmosphere of negativity. So, I don't buy into that argument that, we must stay together at the same house even though we are fighting, because it will produce more evil and more negative things in the life of the children than we had expected. And you are thinking that you are doing it for the sake of the child, but you are actually bringing much more chaos, destruction into the future of that child. So from the age of 0 to 15, that is, like I said, it is the stage of the awakened emperor. It's the emperor that is awakening the life, the big giant that is in that baby, the God life that is in that child is being awakened. And for the best of the qualities of God, the positive ones that are put in the life in the body of that child, for all that best qualities to be awakened, it's better that baby has to grow up in a particular atmosphere, in a particular environment that will allow for the fullness of God, for the nature of God, and for the best of God to be revealed. And so where are the atmospheres? What are the atmospheres that permit and allow the nature of God and the best that God has put in a child to be awakened? Number one, it is the atmosphere of love. A child of that age, from the age of 0 to 7, must be reared and must be groomed in an atmosphere of love, total love. Love to the child, yes, directly. Love must be expressed to that child. But secondly, love also must be expressed in the life of the people in that environment, in the life of the people in that room or in that house or in that apartment. So people living in that apartment must have genuine love, thereby filling the atmosphere with a feeling of love, acceptance, and that is going to be passed down and communicated to that child. So that is the first thing that is needed for the upbringing of that child. Now, unfortunately, a lot of parents, they think the only thing that they need to raise up a child from the age of 0 to 15 months is just breast. It's just for the woman to have a breast, and then they breastfeed the baby. That is just feeding the body. Breastfeeding is good and it's necessary. It's actually compulsory. But when you are just living to make sure that your children have something to eat, and that is your whole goal, and because for a lot of parents, they don't understand the purpose of parenting, and they think that parenting is all about providing something for the children to eat and the ability to be able to put food on the table, the ability to be able to bring something and to provide for your family and go to work and buy food and let them say, okay, there is food, so you go and eat. Have you taken your breakfast? Have you taken your lunch? Oh, good boy. Okay, go and do your assignment now. Okay, oh, you have clothes. Oh, we'll buy clothes for you in New Year. Oh, you got a new clothes. Ah, you are so beautiful. Ah, look at the way. Wow, ooh, wow, ooh, wow. And do hair for them and say, oh, wow, you look beautiful. All these things are just nothing. They don't formulate the person. in that child. They don't bring out the personality of that baby. They are not relating. That is not ministering to the person that is inside that body. What you are doing, you are just decorating the body, the outwardness of the body, of the house. It's like just painting the outward, the outside of the house, and inside, the person that is inside, you are not even paying attention to him. So, but for us not to make that mistake that a lot of parents do, just by giving food to their to their just by giving food to their children and saying they are doing upbringing or parenting, you have to go to see and to touch the baby and the person that is inside that body. That body is not yet the person. The person is the one that is living in the body. The body is just the house where he is living. But he is inside. He is inside. And it is the person that is inside. It is that personality. It is that child that is inside that you want to minister to. That is the one you want to develop, not just the body. So, and like I said, the very first quality that you need to develop a child from the age of 0 to 15 months is love. The second thing, the second condition for the healthy development of that child is peace. You need also an atmosphere of peace in that home. You need an atmosphere of peace. So where that child is, make sure that you have peace. Make sure that that peace. Now, peace is not only talking about noise, the absence of noise. There could be noise, but there could be peace inside. It is the kind of peace that is communicated to that child from the way you touch that child, from the way you, minister to that child, touch that child, just with the way that we treat that child, with the kind of peace that is on the ambience and in the atmosphere of that particular house and that apartment. So peace is another condition that must be met, that is needed for that child to grow up healthy and to be able to release all the God potential and the God quality that are put into that baby from heaven, from when it's coming from heaven. The third condition for the successful upbringing of a child between the age of 0 to 15 is you want to communicate acceptance. That's number 3 thing that is needed to give to that child. You want to communicate acceptance to that child. You want to let that child feel that is accepted in that family. You want to let that child feel that is welcome warmly, that is welcome with acceptance, and you have to affirm him. You have to affirm that child with acceptance. Both the father and the mother or anybody that is in that family, you need to let that baby feel himself accepted. Even though he is not saying what is happening, even though he cannot talk, even though he cannot hear you, so we think, but his subconscious mind is working already. And his subconscious mind actually started working from when he was in the stomach, when he was in the mother's stomach. And now, especially, you are ministering to that child on the level of the subconscious. So that is acceptance is another thing that you want to communicate to that child. Apart from acceptance, another thing you want to communicate to that child is joy. You want to communicate joy to that child. You want to communicate joy to that child. That is the next thing you want to communicate to the baby. So let the baby, understand that there is joy in the family, both between the husband and wife and between all other members of the family that are there. But you need to be able to find a way to communicate that joy, that you are happy to see that child every day. Every time you are meeting the child, you are happy to see him. Every time you are touching the baby, you are communicating that joy. You are happy for that child. So some of these things are naturally recorded in the mind of the baby, and they go a long way to affect how that child grows up healthy and the future that child will have. And that will determine if that child will be able to accept all other things that will come later on in his life or not. So you are laying the foundation for the child to be able to know how to respond to you when it becomes bigger, and the other all other things that you will be putting in the life of that child will depend on the foundation that you lay for him when he's between the age of 0 and 15. Because if the foundation be destroyed, there is nothing the righteous can really do. So the righteous cannot do anything if the foundation is destroyed. And you want to make sure that the foundation for your child and the foundation that you are laying for the future of your baby is very nice. The next thing you want to do for that baby, number 5, is that you want to, even when that baby is still young like that, between the age of 0 to 15 months, you want to begin to speak life into his life. You want to begin to speak life. Maybe you want to begin to read some stories, the Bible scriptures to him, or you want to fill his atmosphere with music, or the Word of God, or you want to begin to speak to that child. Speak to him his destiny. Speak to him. Communicate with him. Communicate with him with a living human being already. Communicate with him. Talk out to him. Let him hear your voice. Let him be used to your voice. Let him be used to the sound of your voice. Let him be used to the sound of joy, the sound of peace, the sound of tranquility, the sound of rejoicing. Let him be used to the positive things. Even you can be speaking towards his destiny, the thing that you are feeling that is going to become, and the good qualities that you are expecting, to speak into his life. Begin to speak those things. Those things are going under, his subconscious. They are going to his subconscious mind. So, it's a good idea to begin to speak life into the baby, into the life of that child. Or prayers. Or, prayers might be another way for you to communicate life into that child. Prayers is another way. Prayers, praise and worship, the atmosphere of the church, God's atmosphere is another way to soak that child in the things of God, in the positive things that will, be able to set the ground for him to be able to receive the best things in life as he grows up. Okay, before I go to the next stage of parenting, let me see what you are writing here. T.Y. is saying, communicating acceptance. I had to be speaking to my daughter in the womb that I love her and want her because the doctor said I needed to do that because of all the trauma around my life at that time. These are deep things you are teaching, Dr. Adelaja. Yep. Oluwatope said, feeding a baby without reaching out to him in love in an atmosphere of peace is like painting the outside of the ramshackle building. The inside is awful after all. Yep. Amaneke said, Pastor Adelaja, what about if the couple sometimes have argument? Do you think it is good for them to be separate? Yeah, if it is going to be an argument that the children are going to see, and if there is no way for you to hide that and to hide that from the children, or for the children not to see that and for them not to be there, then maybe it's not worth it to live together in the same place with the children where you are always fighting. You want to live in an atmosphere of peace, and you don't have to. Disagreement doesn't have to end up in arguments. Kelsey says, I'm learning a lot. Don't have kids yet, but will incorporate this when I do. Yep. So apart from the age of 0 to 15 months is the first stage of development in the life in parenting. And that is, the conditions of parenting a child between that age group of 0 to 15 months. The next age group is between the age of 15 months or 1 year old to 3 years old. That is the next important, critical time in the life of the child when the child is being developed. So what are the particular things, what are the peculiar things that you need to pay attention to in the life of a child when you are rearing a child or bringing up a child that is between the age of 1 to 3. I think the age of 1 to 3 is probably the most important, or one of the most important. Actually, between the age of 0 to 7 is the most important period in the life of a child. But the next stage in development of the child is between the age of 1 to 3. That is a crucial period in the life of the child. That is a very, very crucial period. Now, if one of the most important things you needed to do in that other period, the period of 0 to 15 months, is touching. You need to do a lot of touching, a lot of communication, just gesture, love, talking, touching, cuddle, and all that. But between the age of 1 to 3, first of all, the child is already running about. The child is already trying to, he's already understanding what is going on. And some of the parents begin to take the children less serious at this point. We begin to, let them do a lot of things for themselves. We are not so happy to see them. We are not rejoicing as we are rejoicing when a child is small anymore. We are not so concerned and so tied down with them. A lot of parents maybe have gone to work. They have gone back to work after, because the child is already working. And many times the child is just taken to the nursery school or to the kindergarten and just dropped there. And so at this age, between the age of 1 to 3, a lot of children don't have any kind of nursing at all. They have little or minimum parenting, and that is bad. So one of the things that you need to do, what you need to realize or recognize in a child that is growing up between the age of 1 to 3 is that child is I think the most important quality of that child is curiosity. That child has now started to hear, has now started to see, has started to recognize, has started to walk. So curiosity is probably the most important element or feature that you will see, you want to note in the life of that kind of a child. So that is when they want to taste, they want to go and touch the light, electricity. They want to go to every room. They want to go follow you to the kitchen. They want to do everything you are doing. They are looking, they cannot talk, but they are recording everything. So it is very important to pay a life of example to that child from that age. It is very important to make sure that, because they are recording not just in the subconscious now, but they are using their active mind, and they are using the 5 senses of the body. The 5 senses of the body start to work, even though they cannot give. But that is the way God planned it to be. God himself intended and planned it in a way that a child will be mute for that period of time, for at least till, for that, the most part of that period. God wants him to be mute so that they will be able to record as much as possible, because that is the stage in life of that child when he assimilates. He assimilates as much as possible. So what you are doing in the family, not just the atmosphere now, but what you are doing in actual practical sense of the word is important, is affecting the life and destiny of that child. Everything that is happening, what you are doing, you think because it cannot talk, it cannot see. You think it's not seeing, but it's actually seeing. It doesn't remember when it grows up, but it's seeing, and they are going right there to his subconscious. He's seeing, he's hearing. It might not be understanding, but it's recorded. So those things, he will play them out one day or the other, one time or the other in the future. So it is important not just not just to create an atmosphere. even though it is still important to create the atmosphere. But apart from creating atmosphere, you are also supposed to already intentionally be putting actions in place, behaviors in place, patterns in place, habits in place all around the family that the child is seeing. The child is supposed to be going around the family, around the home, and seeing and recording all things that are happening. And those things are supposed to be positive things. Those things are supposed to be things that are that are meant to build him up. Things that are meant to structure his life. Things that are meant to guide him in life. Things that are meant to give him focus, give him. So at this point, for example, it is very wise to find ways to cause the baby to either read or to count, to calculate, or to respond to music, or to be artistic, to draw, or to, you want to begin to create some things intentionally. You have to now begin to find techniques of making that baby to begin to formulate some skills in that child. It is from this particular age, for example, that some great musicians, that the potential for them to become great musicians is put in them, because they are exposed to music, they are exposed to sound, they are exposed to color, the variety. That's how it comes from. That is from this stage that creativity is encouraged and seen and put in those child. Maybe they are not speaking, they are not saying anything yet, but you might give them to. In fact, most of the children that become scientists or inventors, but it is that freedom that they are given to just express themselves, to begin to get those things, record those things inside, and express themselves. So you have to give them maximum exposure at this time. That is why personally I don't think that a mother is supposed to go to work yet between the age of 1 to 2 or 3 when the child is, so you are supposed to be exposing him and imagine him in, the atmosphere of creativity, knowledge, wisdom, and all forms of, information. You want to give him light, to see light, to respond to light, to respond to dance, to respond to music, to respond to creativity, to respond to modeling, to do things really, not just to throw him in the kitchen and or in the room and just let him do anything. You want to bring out, it is at this point that children, that is why it is between these ages, there are a lot of gifts. People, the children want to play with gifts and toys. Toys is, that's why that we all know about toys, right? That children like toys, especially between the age of 1 and 3. Now, between the age of 1 and 3, those toys must be purposeful. So maybe you want to bring those toys, like, is it Tega? You call it Teg, or what they call this construction, the building of the house. You make them like a house. It's a construction company in Sweden, I think. I forgot. Ego or Lego. Yeah, you want to bring those Legos around and make sure that he understands construction. He brings things together. You help him. Maybe around that time, you want to begin to also put things like games like what do you call it? Shares and things that are something that will really bring out the creativity, because the most important thing at this point in time for the child is the most important quality is curiosity. He wants to learn, even though he cannot talk yet, even though he cannot speak yet, but this is when he learns the most. So this is how he learns the most. So you must find any way possible to make him learn, because now he is wanting to learn. God closes his mouth so that he will be able to learn more. So if he's not learning, he will just be breaking everything and something, because he wants to express himself, he wants to learn. So it is the period of time to put in as much creativity inside him, as much information inside him. And not just to put the Legos everywhere, just to be in the room by himself. Teach him, walk with him, sit with him, cause him to bring to see those things. Take him out to Disney World or places like that, or put educative what do you call it, cartoons. Bring not just any accidental cartoons. It is at this stage of life that you must purposefully find educative cartoons and films and things like that help him to develop some creativity, some abilities in himself, some value system in him. Read out to him. Let pray out to him. Let him sense all that. So all that is coming into the life of that child, during this period. So building puzzles, yes, that's like what we call Lego. These things are very important for the child to develop. So apart from the curiosity that is in a child at this stage, there is another quality though that is also noticeable in a child at this age. That quality is risk taking and the fear factor. They go together. It is between this age because he has a lot of curiosity, so he wants to take a lot of risk. So that is why it is the best time for a child to learn to swim is at this stage. The best time for a child to do gymnastics or to do sports is at this stage. The best time for a child to learn some skills and some, some things of work, making some, very complex things. Even some fights or some wrestling or some sports might be at this stage. Because it is at this stage, between the age of 1 and 3, that child wants to take more risk. He wants to experiment everything. Besides, that is when he doesn't have not too much fear. But on the other hand, it is this period of time that determines if he's going to be a child that is going to live a life of fear or a life of boldness. So if you build him up and encourage him to take bold steps, if you give him more freedom at this time, it will be a bold child. But if you stop him from everything, it will be a teenage child. So it is at this time that is either we are releasing in him either boldness or you are releasing in him fear. So it is he's going to either embrace the fear factor or he's going to embrace the risk factor. So it is also good here and important here for the parent to find a balance for that child at this point. To find a balance between how much liberty, how much freedom, how much boldness he has, and how much and where do we need to stop him and let him say, okay, now you have to stop. And this is about the time where we're supposed to bring or put in some of the greatest values on the standard in the family to that child. Like, for example, I always tell the story of my son. That son now is like 2 times my size. He's so big now and so tall. He's just 19. He's going to be 19. And I remember when he was just like 1 year old, maybe 9 months or 12 months. Yeah, let's say 1 year old. So he was 1 year old. And at 1 year old, that's when they want to eat all the sweet and candy and everything. So and the mother had always been careful about how much candy they eat, especially when they are small. So the mother had said 1 candy only, 1 candy, 1 candy, and he took that 1 candy. Of course, he liked it, and then he wanted to take the 2nd candy. So the mother took the 2nd candy from him. And and there are 2 more candies left, 2nd, 3rd. The mother took the 2nd candy and the 3rd candy from him. And he was shocked, looking at the mother like this. He was saying, give. He was asking the mother to give him the candy. and the mother is not giving him. The mother said, no, 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 no. He goes, give me, give me, give me. He's not giving it. So he tried to take it from her like this, and the mother just took it back also from him. Then he said, well, he just did this. Slapped the mother like this. Ooh, and I was there. I was just passing by. He was not lucky. He was just 1 year old and beat the mother like that. Just slapped the mother. Because the mother also used to slap him like that. So he did like that. Ooh, and I saw that happening. Ooh. Thank God I didn't need to go far. I had my slippers. I had my slippers. Heck. I have the thing. So I said, come here. What did you just do now, parents? What did you just do now? Did you slap your mother? You did? You slap your mother? I said, come here. Look, this is your mother. He cannot talk. He's just 1 year old. This is my wife, and it's your mother. You should never try to raise your hand to slap or beat your mother ever again. Bring me your hand. Bring me your hand. He's doing like this. He said, no, stretch it out. Stretch it out. I said, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I said, come now. Why did I beat you? He's not hearing. Why did I beat you? Never, ever raise your hand as your mom again. Or talk to your mom, or abuse your mom, or disobey your mom, or insult your mom. If you do that again, you will cry every time like this. Yes. Never touch that woman again. That woman, she should be the most respected human being in your life. You think I needed to repeat that thing up to down? It has been 18 years now. You think I needed to repeat it? That lesson sank very deep. Yeah, it sank very deep. And I tell the story all the time, and I ask him, does he remember? He doesn't remember. But his subconscious mind remembers. Subconscious mind remembers. You see, so it is at this stage in life when you can cement some value system, when you can put in some qualities that will remain in that child for so long. There's a lot of children, a lot of parents, they are always concerned about their children, when it's too late. So they are trying to now put the values inside when the child is already 15 or 12 or 20 or something like that. It's too late. Between the age of 1 to 3, some of the most important, you can put so much important things in those child. So that is what you do with a child. But between the age of 3 to 7 is a different ball game. Between the age of 3 to 7 is a totally different ball game. And it is what I will begin to talk about tomorrow. Our time is up for today. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. If you have not yet shared the link to this program, please go share it. God bless you, everyone. Bye. Good night.